Hey everybody, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you could join me today. I'll be making this adorable name banner for a baby shower gift. Let me show you how I did this. So I'm going to start with a couple of pieces of cardstock for my banners. And then I'm also going to use a couple of pattern papers. One is floral and the other is polka dots. And the colors coordinate beautifully. I used the Cricut 3D monogram with letter, and I cut all of my banners on the cardstock at 3.5 inches. And there you can see I'm going to use the different pattern papers behind each letter. And then I used the blackout feature to cut another banner at 3.3 3/4 inches, just to make it a little larger than my craft colored banner, and to give it a little more interest. It really makes the craft cardstock stand out. And that's what I'm going to do for each of the names. And this was twins. The names were Margaret Jane and Lorelei Elizabeth, and I just love those names. Here you can see I did one name out of the polka dots and then the second name with using the floral paper, and it turned out really cute. Here's a close-up so you can see how they coordinate, but they're different enough to distinguish one name from the other. So then I measured an equal distance from each side of my blackout monogram, and I punched 2 holes. So to make things easy, I'm just going to use that as a template and mark all of my subsequent banners with a pencil, and if you'll turn your punch around, you'll be able to see exactly where to punch the holes on each banner so that they're uniform and consistent. So I'll go through each of the names. There's quite a few letters here, but by using that as a template, it goes pretty quickly. Alright, and then I took a very long piece of jute, and I'm going to thread that through the top of each one of these letter banners. And by not introducing knots or bows or anything like that, you're able to move each of the banners around freely. And because I'm combining 2 names, Margaret Jane and then Lorelei Elizabeth, and these were specifically requested for decorating a stroller-sized gift. So I wanted to be able to leave it easily to move around the letters for the recipient so they could put them on the package however they chose. So nothing is glued, there are no knots, every letter is movable. And then all I'm going to have to do, or they will have to do, is tape this onto their package and arrange the letters however they want. So here are the names all laid out. And they're fully adjustable, like I said, which would look like that. So the next thing I did was to add some flowers, and this from the Cricut Home Decor. And the dark color was cut at 3 inches. Gives you all these layers. To add some interest, I'm taking some ink. This was dark coral, but I don't have dark coral ink, so I used a red, and it turned out really pretty on these coral pieces. So when you cut these out, there will be 3 large pieces, 3 small pieces, and a center for your flower. And this, by layering these, it makes some really intricate and beautiful flowers. And you can put as many layers or as few of layers together as you wish. Then I'm taking my McGill's craft molding mat. It's a little silicone or foamy mat, and a ball stylus, and I go around my flowers, which will make them bloom or come to life. It gives them a little bit of dimension just by pressing down with your ball stylus on that mat. It shapes the paper. So when you're going to make these flowers, you want to make sure you're using a cardstock that's not too heavyweight, but a little heavier than regular paper, and that helps to hold the shape. So on this first flower, I'm just going to juxtapose those petals. I'm going right into it there, making sure they're offset from one another. just enough to make it interesting and realistic looking. And then I'm going to take the back petals and fold them down just a bit, just using my fingers, because this cardstock holds its shape beautifully. And then I decided to, on these centers, even though I inked around them, I wanted to add a little more interest, so I'm going to run those through my Swiss Dots embossing folder. And that's going to give it a little raised dots on the center of each one of my flowers. So again, I inked around the centers first. Then I'll run them through my embossing machine. And it gives me this seated look on the centers of my flowers. Just a little more dimension. So I'll get that glued to the center of this flower, and that one will be done. So I decided to use a dark coral, a lighter coral that had a little pearlescent look to the paper, and then a mixed flower with dark and light. So now on my next flower, I thought I'd give it a try where it's got that split. You just add a little drop of glue and put your flowers together like this, and I hold it with my reverse tweezers and let those dry, and it gives them a natural curve when you do that. So either way, the flowers, whether you leave that out or you combine it where those are split, the flowers are just beautiful. So you can see I'm going to do the similar thing here and pull the bottom petals back. And by doing that, it gives it a little more dimension in each flower, a little more natural look. Alright, and I'll add that center. And then the little cream colored center with the Swiss dots. I'll give you a close-up look on these in just 1 second here. They really come together beautifully, and they're just very impressive flowers. I love them. It's going to add just the right detail to these name banners. And pull out some of that coral color that's in the pattern paper. So there's a close-up of our dark. And then I went to this light coral that I said was a pearlescent looking paper. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it. And again, I used the same red ink that I used on the dark coral. And it really complements the coral colors, whether it's dark or light. Alright, and then I'm going to move on and do a combination flower with the dark and the light coral. And those were cut out a little smaller, 2.5 inches. And there's the finished product of my name banners with the flowers. I hope you enjoyed this video, that you get inspired to give it a try yourself. Come by and see me on YouTube or visit me at my blog.